Hi everyone, I hope you don't mind going on a little drive with me today. I hope the sound isn't too warped, and I hope that the shaky video is not bothering you, or that the bad lighting is bothering you. So I hope that this message can come across comfortably as you guys watch this video. If not, I'll try to re-edit it later. But I wanted to follow up with you guys from last week. Last week I talked about entering into your restorative season. And the first step into that is letting go, right? Accepting what the Lord has for you. Accepting that it might not look the way that you thought it's supposed to look. I use the example of a broken teapot. Sometimes God will pick up the pieces and He'll reform and reshape that same teapot that you lost, but make it more beautiful and make it better. And sometimes you just get a brand new teapot and He sweeps away the pieces of that old one. Either way, if you let God have it, if you let God restore you, He will restore those broken pieces. He will bring you back to a place of restoration. It'll be better and stronger and more beautiful than it ever was before. But you've got to let God have it. So we talked about that last week. I talked to you guys about just letting go. Now that's a pretty tough step all on its own. Learning to let go and just surrender to whatever God wants in His will. What's the step after that? How do you step into that restorative season and into that restorative year? Well, when I feel like I'm in a tough situation, especially if I feel like I'm in a situation that I didn't really deserve, I always go back to the story of Joseph. Now you can find the story of Joseph in Genesis 37 through 50. That's Genesis chapter 37 all the way to the end of the book. Joseph is definitely a good example of things not going to plan and receiving things that you feel like you just don't deserve. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers. Joseph was falsely accused and thrown into prison. And then in prison, he was forgotten about and left there for several years because the person who was supposed to help him get him out forgot about him. So talk about living a life of unjust beatings and cruelties and betrayal. And yet Joseph never let go of his integrity, of his spirit of excellence. He worked hard and he built himself up to the position of being second in command of all Egypt, which was the world's leading power at that time. So he was the second most powerful man on the entire planet at that time. Now we can see the end result and we can go, oh wow, I can see why God put him through those trials. It's a big job that he had, taking care of all of Egypt. That's a big job. It makes sense why he had those trials. But in the moment, I'm sure Joseph didn't see it that way. And I know that's how we feel. That's how I feel. There's been plenty of situations in my life where I've been betrayed. I've had horrible things happen to me. I've been just caught up in these horrible, horrible situations. And I have thought, what did I do to deserve this, God? But I'm always, always, always brought back to the story of Joseph. Maintain your integrity. Work hard in whatever God has given you. And He will build you up. And He will mold you. And He will shape you into the version of you that He needs you to be for His glory. So what does that look like for you? You've learned to trust God. You've learned to let go. You've learned to surrender to His will, even if it doesn't look the way that you think it should look. You've learned to just say, God, however it is you see fit to restore this situation in my life, I surrender. But now what? Because sitting back and waiting, sometimes God calls us to do that, don't get me wrong. But now what? Well, like Joseph, maintain your integrity. Work hard. Whatever season you're put in. You know, for me, these last couple of years was definitely a mindset change. I mean, I came out of a horrible situation. I was betrayed and lied to, and I was left really wounded. And after a small period of healing and taking time to recuperate from that situation, the Lord put me on In the Vine. He put me on the worship team, and He put me in head of the ladies only events at our church. I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot, and I didn't want it. I wanted to pout and I wanted to be angry because this wasn't how it was supposed to be. But knowing the Word of God, knowing the story of Joseph, and knowing the calling that I have in my life and the purpose that I have in my life, which is to be submissive to God in all that I do, I took on these tasks. I pursued joy daily, and I entered into a mindset of full, complete submission to God, knowing, God, if this is where you want me, this is where I'm going to work. This is how I'm going to This is where I'm going to put my mindset. And I did. And it was in those places that I've connected with people, I connected with God, I've been built up, I've been being recognized as well as showing recognition to the right people. It's been such an amazing journey, and it's been an area of growth in my relationship with the Lord that wouldn't have been able to take place if I didn't surrender to Him. If I would have followed my feelings and said, no, I don't want to do anything, I'm still too wounded and hurt and angry about my last situation, what I just came out of, to put any work into anything, I wouldn't have been able to grow and expand in my relationship with the Lord. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for where God has me. I'm grateful that I get to talk to you guys and hang out with you guys. And I know it's through a screen, but I love the engagement that we've been getting. I've been able to share my testimony, and I've been able to receive and hear other people's testimonies. It's been a tremendous blessing. And not just within the Vine, but with all the other things that God has put me through, I've been able to develop a much closer, deeper relationship with Him as a result. And it was just me every single day saying, God, I trust you. And I will put forth the spirit of excellence and integrity in everything that I do. Whether I like it or not, whether I feel like I deserve it or not, I'm going to put forth a spirit of integrity and love towards people in everything that I do. And it's with that mindset that I've been able to obtain genuine, real joy. I've been able to obtain restoration in my thinking and in my broken heart. I've been able to draw closer with God and God's people as a result of just surrendering to Him and accepting that, hey, it's not going to look the way that I wanted it to look or that I thought it would look, but if it's God, I can trust it, period. You might lose something or someone, your health might be stripped from you, and it's going to determine and it's going to demand a shift in your thinking and in your habits. Every one of us is going to go through that on a different level. Every single person is going to have to face that at some point in their life. And more than likely, multiple times. You start heading one direction, you developed a habit, you develop a mindset, and then something happens that forces you to have to change all of those things. And you have a choice. I'm going to sit back, I'm going to pout, I'm going to be angry, and I'm going to demand that God fix this the way that I see fit to fix it. You can stay in that place, you can stay broken, you can stay bitter. Or you can take what God has given you in this new season and run with it and work with a spirit of excellence and integrity. And make the decision to turn your habits, your thinking, and your life around. The example that comes into my mind is, I wish I remembered her name and I feel bad, but you guys remember the story of that surfer who lost her arm to a shark bite. She has such an inspirational story because she could have just laid back. She could have just demanded that everyone serve her and treat her differently, and she could have gotten lazy. She could have sat in her bitterness. I lost my arm. I lost my ability to surf. I lost my passion. So many people get stuck in that place, and it's so sad. But she said no. She went back out in the water and she relearned how to surf. She had to develop new habits. She had to figure out a new way of doing it. But she figured it out. She pursued what she knew God had called her to pursue, and she became an inspiration as a result. So sometimes we're in that situation. We lose something, we lose someone, our health gets challenged, our finances get challenged, and we have to rethink and redo the things that we've normally done in a certain way. But if you go in with the mindset of integrity, of strength, and a willingness to do what God has called you to do, it's in that place that He's going to shape you and remold you, and you're going to be able to step into a deeper, higher place with the Lord and your calling, because you just kept up your spirit of excellence and you pushed through. So that's my message to you guys today. That's my encouragement. If you're crying out for restoration in a situation, whatever that is in your life, the first step is learn to surrender to God. How He restores your situation might look completely different than what you thought it was supposed to look like or be. But if you can trust God, and you can know, because it's God, I can trust it. Because it's His Spirit upon this situation, I can receive it. That's the first step. Trusting God. Trusting that whatever He brings into your life as a replacement is going to be better than what you lost originally. The next step is work hard. Be a person of integrity and learn to navigate everything that comes your way with excellence, integrity, and that mindset to just be the best, and not for your own sake, not for your own glory, and not so that you can say, oh, look at me, but all for the glory of God. You got to understand something, guys. As Christians, we bear His name. We are bearing the name of Christ on our life, and we're not doing a very good job of showcasing who God is if we're complaining and bitter all the time. But if you're willing to go in, despite your circumstances, with joy, a genuine smile on your face, being a person that everyone in the room can trust, knowing that you can work hard and work with excellence in any task that you're given, God is going to utilize you in such a marvelous and profound way, because He knows that He can trust you not to bring glory to yourself, but to Him in everything that you do. Look at the story of Joseph. Again, that's Genesis chapters 37 through 50. And look at the example of Joseph in his life. All of the horrible things that he had to face, all the challenges, all of the heartbreaks, all the betrayal, and still he never gave up. He still worked with integrity. He got the highest position in any place that he was at. I'm gonna park here. He was sold into slavery. He was the best slave that there was, to the point of being made the whole manager of Potiphar's household. And then he was wrongly accused and thrown into prison. And even in that place, he became the best prisoner to the prison ward, put him in charge of all the other prisoners. He was the one in charge of the entire prison encampment. And then from that place, because of his integrity, because of his faithfulness, because of his spirit of excellence, even in places that he didn't deserve to be in, God put him second in command over all of Egypt. If you find yourself stuck, you find yourself in a place that you don't like, you feel like you don't deserve to be here, you don't like it, you don't want it, it's too hard, it's too challenging, do what Joseph did. Maintain your integrity, do your absolute best, serve others, be someone that everyone can trust and rely on, and God will utilize you, and God will restore you to a place where you need to be. And it's in that place that you'll develop a purpose. It's in that place that God will begin to reveal to you what all of this hardship was for. To mold you, to shape you, and prepare you for something far more valuable and worth something. So that's my message to you guys today. Learn to trust and surrender to God, whatever His will, because you can trust Him. And from that place, carry a spirit of integrity, strength, and respect. Joseph also respected all of his leaders. He was a slave. He was sold into slavery into a foreign land. He could have pouted and been a brat, but he didn't. Potiphar made him the manager of his entire household because Potiphar could trust him. The prison ward made Joseph head of the prison because he could trust him. Operate in the things that God has called you to operate, even if you're not in a position or a place that you feel like you deserve or want to be in. And God will lift you out of that place and put you in a place of honor for his name's sake. But if you pout, if you complain, and you show disrespect to your leaders, whether they deserve it or not, God is not going to honor you because you have yet to have learned honor. And so yes, that ties into restoration. You want to see restoration in your situation? First, learn to trust. Second, learn to be a person of integrity. Work hard and respect your leaders, and God will begin to pull you forward into the things of his glory because you've learned how to operate in the lower levels. He's going to pull you up into a higher level. I hope you guys heard that. I hope that message comes across well. I pray for you all. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to next Monday. Have a blessed day. Bye.